Testing. Mics, and the mics are like, reverberating. Oh, wait. Do you, so the mic auxiliary is reverberating, but DO boardroom mics are not. I'm sorry, I know that you're not. And I know there's something, settings, cancel, mics. And then I need to go to, I don't know if, yes, I have video. And then, well, I should see Steve. Yep, I just saw Steve walk through, so I have video. Now it's the audio that I'm gonna turn the audio up on my computer. That's muted. Let me see, can I hear myself? Oh, I can, so yeah, let me just mute everything. Get some clothes.
Actually, we just saved money.
Yeah.
We were costing
I
money
know.
because we were doing the
Yeah, she's been on like 75.
You got one more hour.
But you didn't bring me my Big Zack snack.
All right, are we ready?
Yep.
Or a Big Zack snack.
I think he's on the hook.
I would like to call our regular scheduled board meeting to order at this time. Today is Monday, June 2nd, and I want to welcome everybody here. Looks like we have an awesome group of students that we'll highlight here in just a few minutes. So at this time, if you will, join me in a moment of silence, please. Amen. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Landon Crawford, who is a rising senior at Seneca, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time, I would like to have a motion to approve our agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda for the June 2nd, 2025 meeting.
A second.
All right, a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approving our agenda for tonight's meeting? All right, now is one of our many important times, and we get to do a special recognition. First off, I'd like to introduce Miss Ashley Ramirez and Coach Chris White to introduce the Seneca High School boys track team.
So we appreciate you guys having us here to recognize us.
Dr. White, just to make sure you're on the video, can you step up, just get up past Miss Bay, because the microphones are in the ceiling, these green lights.
Okay.
So that way it'll pick up your voice.
So our boys were fortunate enough to win the state championship a couple weeks ago. These are several of the guys we had. We only took 7 guys, 7 that competed plus alternates to the state championship. It was really close. We won by a point, so we were really proud of them. I'm going to go through and introduce them. I'm going to start with Avery Butler, who is an individual state champion in the discus and also through the shot put for us. We have 3/4 of our 4x1 and 4x400 relay. Landon Crawford, Evan Jackson, Cam Benson. And we have Payson Jones, Andreas Cleveland, Emery Holland, and Amari Verner. They were alternates on all of our relays. We're missing Elias McGee, who was the other member of our relay, and then Corbin Williamson, who was second in the javelin and pole vaulted, and Isaiah Lipper, who was also a pole vaulter, and I'm not missing anyone, am I? That's everybody we're missing. Coaches Dorisel Butler and Jason Nicholson, and obviously several of our coaches have kind of scattered for the summer. So we're really proud of them. Thanks for having us here.
Well, we appreciate y'all being here.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Congratulations. Yeah.
And, okay, if you guys could come, turn around and face the audience, we're gonna let the school board come down, and we'd love to have a picture so we can put it on the website. And,
So you brought him short, you let him
I think this time maybe it'd be better to have the school board members down front.
Okay.
Yep, we can fill in there.
Don't hide.
I'm gonna let you go to the back row.
That's awesome.
All the paparazzi out there. Pictures.
Parents got what you need.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done.
awesome work. Coach White's had quite a year. If you go back 13 months anyway, a couple state championships, some personal honors.
Well, and congratulations again. So, all right, at this time, I would like to introduce Ms. Liza Smith and Jessica Thomas from Westminster Elementary as they're going to talk about the most recent prestigious award called Promising Practices.
Yes. So we're excited. Actually, this morning we were presented with our Promising Practices award for our work in our PLC process. And that's one thing I know you guys have been very instrumental in helping support us with that as well, sending us to conferences and stuff and helping us grow in that. We were just kind of talking about it and realized that we are one out of 125 schools nationwide who have received this award. So we are very proud of our faculty and staff because they are the ones who put in the work from this. It takes a true commitment and collaboration, not just from us as administrators working with our teachers, but our teachers working with teachers. Whether it's our special ed teachers working with a grade level that they push into or pull students out of, but that team collaboration and truly getting on the same page, creating their unit plans, their common assessments, and really having a mindset of all means all and making sure that our students have what they call a guaranteed and viable curriculum so that they get the best that they can possibly have while they're with us. So we're very proud of the work that they've done because it's our teachers doing the work and carrying out that process. Ms. Thomas kind of spearheads our PLC, or what we call our CCT time, so I'm going to kind of let her talk about the process with the application.
So this was a journey we began 3 years ago. Ms. Smith got there 4 years ago to Westminster, and when I came along, we really thought everything was ready to go for the PLC process. And so this was our third year that we have finished, going into our fourth next year of implementing the PLC process. And so this is an award that you have to apply for. And so to talk a little bit about the application process, they require at least evidence of at least 1 year of data showing improvement. And so we've actually had more than one, but we were able to do that. We have to document our PLC journey along the way, things that have worked, things that haven't worked, lessons that we've learned. We had to talk about our daily practices and teachers' daily practices of what they do day to day. We had to share templates that we use, common templates among grade levels, special education teachers. We had to share those with others, and they're actually on a website now, on Solution Tree's website, where other schools who are looking to become Promising Practices schools or even model PLC schools, they can see those and get ideas to use those as well. The next challenge that we've discussed and we would like to pursue is to become a model PLC school, and so that is kind of like the step up from Promising Practices. So we think that's going to be next on our challenge list. So.
Congratulations. Well, I know that school board meetings are always fun for all of us up here, but if you guys would like to dismiss yourself and go on about your evening, we certainly don't want to hold you here. So feel free to leave if you decide to. But at this time, we would like to, anybody sign up for public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Megan, can I mention that?
Probably down at the board member. That'd be the most appropriate place.
Yeah, down at the bottom under board comment.
All right, at this time, then, we will move to approval of minutes. If I can have a motion to approve the May 12th board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion is second to approve those minutes. Any discussion, changes? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Thank you for that. All right, we'll move right along to our discussion items, superintendent's report.
All right, what I want to share with you tonight is our Successful Summer Institute from last week, which is our teacher professional development and administrator professional development that we do each summer. That was conducted last week, Wednesday and Thursday. Some things I think started on Tuesday even. But what I want to tell you is what you heard today with where we were, where we are, where we're going. If you look at the different professional development that was offered last week, you'll see the same thing. Dr. McDonald and Mr. Smith did an excellent job, and their team, and they would credit their team. They did an excellent job of providing professional development that is exactly in line with professional learning communities, with new math standards, it's just the special ed inclusion, all the areas where we're focusing as a district. Teachers got relevant training last week, and it was refreshing to see. Solution Tree has been a great partner for us. They sent a presenter to further train people with professional learning communities. He was excellent. We had in-house folks providing professional development. So just a really good couple of days of providing relevant training to our teachers. And you allow us to honor our teachers through giving them a stipend to do that, so they can actually come and get, paid for that. It was a good time and good training, so that when we start in the fall, we've got teachers who have already been working on the things that we're implementing in our classrooms. And I'd love for y'all to chime in if there's anything you'd like to add. Anything? Okay. But just want to say kudos to the instruction folks for putting on a good 2 days. It's very good.
All right, any questions on that? All right, Mr. Schickling for our May financial report.
Okay, so for the month of May, we're getting to the point in the year now where the variance column on the far right is actually something to monitor or has some impact. So local tax revenue, you can see we still have $2 million shy of our budget. We've got 2 months collection still, but I'm, again, concerned there that we may not realize the full local tax levy. Good news is we have gotten some excess fee in lieu above what we had budgeted. It's good news. Tier 3, you can see a monthly payment there is $1.6 million. So we've got 2 monthly payments coming in we'll have June and then 13th month. So we should be square there. So all in all, things on the local taxes really are going to hinge on that ad valorem levy. Local revenue, you can see again, interest is the main driver of positivity there. And in terms of state support, we've got $2.8 million still uncollected on formula aid. The 135th day numbers were certified and came out middle of May. And so our most recent allocations reflect that. I think we're gonna be a little bit positive from what we budgeted, so that's good news. Not gonna see the major slump that we've seen in the past, although we did budget conservatively to try to address that. If you look at transfer from EIA, there's a $571,000 payment this month, leaving $564 remaining, and we've got 1 month's payment coming. So, looking good on revenues, total of close to $8 million for the month of May. For expenditures, again, this is where we're gonna see now, budget remaining is getting a little bit tighter. Where you're seeing some negatives for purchase services and primary elementary, that's predominantly going to be the cost of Kelly services. And so where we do have some room on salaries, we're coming in under budget on salaries, we're coming in over budget on those contracted services because we may have had long-term vacancies that were being filled by Kelly services. So where there's unspent salary, there's over expenditure for that contractual. But all said and done, again, it's a routine month for payroll. The one major item of note, if you look at the very bottom of that expenditure report and the transfers, you'll see $1.4 million there as a transfer to capital, which is an expenditure out of the budget. That reflects the board's approval to transfer $1.2 million, as well as moving the revenue from the sale of Seneca Middle School into the capital fund, where it can be utilized for capital purposes. So that's the $12 million of expenditures right there. And as far as disbursements, non-payroll disbursements, Roofing projects and food service management are two of the largest, as well as some of the intercom upgrades Mr. Whitrock was speaking about earlier, to make sure our Centegix system is communicating with the rest of the building systems. And then you can see some of the capital expenditures at the end, what's in progress, what's completed, and what has yet to begin for the summer. So happy to answer any questions you might have about any component there.
Okay. All right, thank you for that, Jay. And now, Mr. Hanvey for our board meeting calendar.
Yes, and you have the exhibit in front of you, and we went with, on the draft, what we had kind of adjusted to this year, which was one meeting a month, the second Monday of the month. And of course, you always have the right to call the special call meeting if we're in a big hiring season in April and we feel like we need to have another one to approve, or if we're budget stuff and you feel like we need to have another one. I mean, you can call one whenever, as long as we give the notice, you know, with the public. So they're all here except the Saturday, the August 10th one on this draft. That is when we would have summer graduation, although we have talked about even bringing summer graduation here if we're just gonna have one or two students participate. But these are the dates that we have proposed based on what we did when we made the change in the fall to one meeting a month.
Are we considering a 2 meeting per month? Going back to that if we needed to? Okay.
You have a comment?
Well, I just have an issue with the June 8th. I wouldn't be able to attend that meeting.
You can move it.
The June 8th. Okay.
Yeah, we just put that because, and I know we've adjusted that one for folks going, so we put that one just to make it consistent with the second Monday of the month, and we said we would talk to you guys, and if we need to move it up or back, we can do that. We'll have plenty of time to do that.
So I think that was the same thing that happened this year. It would have been the
Right, that's
9th or the
right.
2nd.
Right, I think
So
that's right.
Would you like for us to move that to the 1st?
Either the 1st or the...
Or the 15th?
15th.
I think, 15?
15th.
I'm getting the 15th.
15th.
My left.
I just
Don't
think
it like
that
all that work, right, like school stops and then you gotta do all.
the Summer Institute just ends for
Got ready
them.
for today.
I can vouch for communication with Dr. McDonald was frequent this weekend. She's been working all weekend because of today and Summer Institute. So giving instruction a little bit of breathing room would probably be nice.
Can we make that the 15th then? Okay.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
get that changed and
Thank you.
make that adjustment. Yes, ma'am.
All right, now to Administrative Policy Manual, Section I.
Thank you. And just a brief update from that. Of course, we're continuing through our board policy manual review. Ms. Bay has been working quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 weeks preparing Section I. It is one of the long policy sections because it's the instruction policies. Mr. Smith, Dr. McDonald, and I have met with Ms. Bay for several hours, and we've gotten through probably like 9 out of 10 pages of the summary pages. So we've got one more page to go through, but then, if we handled this the way we've handled it in the past, we would have Dr. Ketterman and Ms. Holder come up and kind of do some work probably during the day, and then present a summary form to the entire board at the next meeting. So this would be, and I think Ms. Bay has shared those policies with you, so you've got them to review. So we would plan for the July meeting and the August meeting to be first and second readings on those instruction policies. But we're actively working on those, and we'll continue that process.
So this is the committee, we'll stand to meet and work through those for
Well,
sure.
just if you can give us some times that work for you,
Yeah.
we'll make it work for us.
Awesome, okay. All right, now, map testing results.
So over the course of the year, the school year, we've talked a lot about third grade map, just as an indicator for third grade Read and Succeed. And we're just really encouraged by some of the preliminary numbers that we've gotten. The paper actually did a nice piece for us just to talk about the success that we're having with our third grade, so really excited about that. But really just wanting to talk today around second grade, which is a grade level that we often don't hear about as much. You know, this year as a district, we really decided to establish a second grade collective goal. And so one of the things that I want us to begin to think about as we think about ourselves as a district is how do we begin to move the district forward instead of looking at individual units and individual schools, looking at us collectively moving and pushing kids toward a collective and common goal. So one of the thoughts as we were brainstorming with the administrators, the elementary administrators, was what measure would allow us to look at not only student achievement, but also student growth. And so we decided through those collective and collaborative conversations that our focus area was going to be second grade ELA growth. And so we were like, it has to be something that's measurable, that we have a common assessment that we could utilize to really determine what this data looks like and have those conversations. And so on our school report card, we do report the number of first grade students who are on track for success and the number of second grade students who are on track for success, even though it's not calculated into our report card ratings, but that number is on there. So we're like, this is a nice place for us to try to maybe do some collective work. So even though that number isn't configured into our report card rating, we know that by looking at our second graders that are on track for success, that is going to impact our third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade SC rating scores, which are factored into our school report card. So we decided that we were going to look at the percentage of first grade students at the end of the 23-24 school year, so that had been last school year, and how many of those students were considered on track for success by the end of their first grade year. And we were going to take that percentage and compare it at the end of this year, at the end of their second grade year, and see how those students measured up. And so we're really, really excited. Really, it was just a new approach, and one of the things that was really unique about it is that instead of asking each school to get to 50% of our students are on track for success, we actually looked at what does it look like for us as a district to reach this 50% goal. Not each individual school, because we know every school is starting from a different place. And to ask a school that's currently at 30% to get to 50, or for a school that's at 55 to come down to 50, that didn't make a lot of sense. And so we wanted to look at if we were on a football field and we're a football team and we're doing our, I think it's called calisthenics, right? And we all take one step forward together, what does that size of that step needed to be? And so John Arnold in our data department, he was able to tell us that all of our schools would need to grow by 4.82%. And so that was the number that every principal went with, and they actually had it as one of their PDEP goals. So we were intentionally focused down on second grade. They met with teachers, they went in with their PLCs, they've been analyzing this data each time that we've taken that MAP assessment. So our goal as a district was for 50% of our second graders to be considered on track for success by the end of the school year. And I know maybe what you're saying is 50% is not a lot, right? Like, that sounds like maybe we're letting some kids down. So let me just go a little bit further for just a second. So whenever we talk about 50% being on track for success based on MAP, that means that a kid, in order to get in that threshold, had to make at least be in the 55th percentile on MAP. So we're not talking about barely skating by a kid that's in the 26th percentile. We're talking about a kid who's really performing on the upper end of average. On MAP, you have 5 different categories. You can either score in the low category, low average, average, high average, and then high. A 55th percentile, if a student is scoring in that range, they're only 6 points away from high average. The low end of average is 40. So we're not asking kids to just be baseline average. We're asking them to perform at the top. So just to put that further into perspective, what that 55th percentile looks like, whenever a kid is in third grade and we're trying to get them to that 186 mark, we're only asking them to be in the 24th percentile. So asking for our folks to really try to get 50% of our kids in the 55th percentile, that's a nice stretch for us and a nice place for us to be as an organization going into third grade. So last year, last year. At the end of that year, 45.18% of our first graders were considered on track for success at the end of their first grade year. And so looking at this group as a second grade group this year, we had approximately 48.15% of our students that are considered on track for success. And I know this is a very small incremental change, but I'm still really, really excited and encouraged by this number. And there's also just a few things at play here. So in first grade, when students take that MAP assessment, the assessment is read to them in first grade. It's the assessment that's given through kindergartners as well. So it's just a different assessment. In second grade, you no longer have that reading support, so students for the first time are reading an assessment on their own, which means they have to really focus in and zone in for an extended period of time. It's also the same assessment that we give our third graders and fourth and fifth graders that we may need to collect some additional data on. So when you talk about the rigor of this assessment, it's a different ball game. So we wouldn't necessarily expect this huge jump from first grade to second grade because kids are navigating a completely different environment. But what we are seeing is that our kids are performing at some really nice levels. And so whenever I think about where our kids are, it's just really encouraging to know that 48.15% of our second grade students are achieving at the 55th percentile or higher. Whenever you consider that by third grade, we're looking at the kids again that were in that 24th percentile or higher, being where they need to be for SC Ready. To have that many that are so much farther above that, I mean, wow, right? Like, I get chills about it. So when we were looking at disaggregating that data, even looking at schools, some of our schools were able to meet that goal. Some of our schools didn't quite get there. But again, we weren't looking for individual success. We were looking at collective success. Because as you guys have heard Andy and I talk about, our goal is that whenever a student in our district, if they move from one school to another, their experience is going to be so comparable from one school to the other that they're able just to keep on moving on and growing and getting stronger. And so all of our teachers being focused on the same goal helped us move just a little bit further down the road. And then I promise I'm gonna hush, but we're going into our second year of letters. We've already finished our first, and so I'm really just encouraged by what we're going to see. Westell presented earlier today, and when I asked each school to make that 4.82% growth, they made about 16%, 12%, sorry, growth.
12% above the.
12% above.
16.
It was 16 total, 12% above what they were asked to do. And that's a school that's been engaged in the PLC work. They've already completed letters, so they're further down the road. And so that really just gives me, it's exciting, right? We're in an exciting place in elementary. So I just wanted to share, and I just am excited to continue working with our administrators, our teachers, to keep, again, moving forward together collectively.
Thank you.
Phenomenal work. Thank you for that and the team of teachers. All right. Anybody have any questions or discussion for that? No? Okay. All right, moving on to our 25-26 board goals. I know we've worked extensively on this today.
So, sorry, Dick, this may be a little bit disappointing, but we worked extensively on those board goals this afternoon, and the board members all participated in brainstorming and jotting down ideas, and I think they've essentially asked staff to formulate some specific goals from that session this afternoon that we would try to have for the July board meeting for approval. So I don't think there'll be any approval of board goals tonight, but we'll be working over the next 3 or 4 weeks to get those in place for July 14th. That agreed?
Absolutely. All right, we'll keep going with the graduation update.
I will, and just wanted to, of course, make everybody aware. I know each of you were at a specific school graduation. For years, we have done the graduation ceremonies at our local high schools. That does seem to be the most popular option for our students. And this year happened to be a glorious Saturday morning. It was nice and cool. I do know there were some sprinkles like an hour or two after the ceremonies in some parts of the county. But we graduated 650 students, 134 from West Oak, 247 from Seneca, 269 from Walhalla. So great ceremonies, just wonderful celebrations of our students. But the topic has come up again, as it does often. There are people in the county who would like to see multiple graduation ceremonies, not just one. And there are people that worry about handicap access and just proximity to the schools when you put so many people in the stadiums. I saw some drone footage of Walhalla High's graduation and just the parking situation that was created because of the number of people there. So just the possibility of maybe discussion of Little John Coliseum again. Mr. Hamby's made some initial contacts, but just kind of wanted to get the board's feeling on that. This is one of those situations where unfortunately there's just not a perfect scenario, perfect answer, because students really like having it at the school. It is a bit of a challenge logistically at the schools. Anyway, so just wanted to open that up and see if there was any desire to discuss options.
That continues to be, a concern of mine, that we go back to Little John, because personally, I love seeing all the graduates, graduates, from all the high schools. I love celebrating with all them and all their families. And additionally, grandparents don't have to, and cousins, relatives don't have to choose, but if they have multiple family members in graduation, they don't have to choose. And along with the fact that, I'm always nervous that week leading up to graduation, thinking it may rain. And I know we have a contingency plan, but that could, it could rain indeed. It hasn't happened since I've been on the board, but, I just always think about that we could have rain in the morning and some in the afternoons potentially.
It could.
And then I think about how guests, are very comfortable when we're in a larger venue. So that's just my 2 cents worth.
But the weather was great this time.
It was beautiful.
It was, and nobody worries about the weather more than me, I promise you. The day the forecast comes out and that far ahead, I start looking and doing the math.
And we do too, probably. But I was at Walhalla, and I was concerned about the number of people who were having to stand up because there wasn't enough places to sit. I'm confident there was at least 100 people standing the whole time. And I think we got out of there in about 2 hours. So it was a large class, it was a large group, and that area is just not big enough for them at that size. So I really like to go back to Little John.
And just for full disclosure, I reached out today. It's not the contact we used when we went. The last time we went was 2020, I think. No, 2019. Yeah, 2019, pre-COVID. And then Clemson did their work, and so I have reached out, he told me, he went at his desk, because I want to know what the options are during that week, because they gave Pickens a deal where they get the Saturday and have all of it. Anderson 4 had Thursday. Anderson 1 had Friday. And we all are finishing at the same time. So we've had discussions, but as soon as he responds to me with what he has available, I will let you all know, and then we'll see if it's even it might not even be I have to, you can't really do it a week and a half after, and you can't do it before they finish, so you've got a 4 or 5 day window.
And we could, I know Anderson 1, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a Anderson 1 school graduate the Thursday, so 9 days before we graduated, I think.
Yes,
was that?
Yeah, it was.
So, we could look at they just allow their seniors to finish even though their underclassmen continue in school.
They do the same in Anderson 5 as well.
So we'll, if it's okay with you, wait and hear back from Clemson and bring you back some options, and we're happy to do any other work. If you want, surveys, anything like that, we're happy to do that. We've done the student one a couple of times, and it's pretty consistent that, students' opinions, but we know that.
Have you done a community, Aaron?
We talked to them at Parent Advisory, but we haven't
know that
sent
we've done
a
a
full
survey.
survey out that says.
I'm more concerned with the grandparents having to choose, and then even parents might have one at graduating over here, they have to split up, which is unfortunate.
family.
You know, they're living with different families, so that creates a problem,
Right.
and that's my concern.
We will certainly do our due diligence on finding out what our options are, and we'll present that to you probably in July then.
Okay.
All right. Next is our one action item, and that is third reading approval of our budget for next year.
So the budget remains unchanged. The expenditure side is exactly as it was presented. The one thing I would note for the funding sources, after our communications with the county council, they've expressed their support for a cap on a millage rate. So what this would represent is leaving our request as it was, allowing that cap to be enacted, rather than reducing our revenue and appropriating some amount of fund balance and amending what we're asking for. We would just allow the growth of the mill to come in wherever it is, and by whatever amount we're short, we would then be able to show that on our financials, and then that would help inform our conversations for next year.
I make a motion that we approve on third reading, final approval, FY '26 general fund budget.
All right, motion and a second on the table for approving third reading of our budget. Any questions, discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor? All right, 5-0. All right, now for board member comments, Ms. Swain.
Yes, I had a former principal and a current teacher approach me with a very valuable program that I would like to see implemented. It doesn't cost the district anything, and I'm going to read some of the proposals that they have. They're going to utilize retired teachers to mentor the first-year teachers. This program is intended to enhance the already established school mentor program. It is a volunteer program that will be no expense to the district. We already have 15 confirmed individuals who have expressed interest. There are 14 individuals who have not been contacted, but may be interested in participating. What they want to do is to get a list of first-year teachers in their grade level or subject area from the district office, meet with the retired educators to discuss ideas and responsibilities, pair up mentors with first-year teachers by their shared grade levels and/or subject areas, arrange an informal meeting between mentors and first-year teachers. They also want to outline the responsibilities of the retired mentors, which is to provide, this is very important, provide support and encouragement to first-year teachers and make contact no less than once a month through text, calls, in-person meetings, cards, treats, etc. They'll be able to assist in classroom setup prior to the teacher during the first week of school, make copies, assemble packets, assist in the classroom if requested, observe lessons and offer suggestions, and provide any assistance requested by the first-year teacher. This is something that they implemented on their own and contacted me, and I would like to recognize them right now. Pat Bowman is a former principal who is very well thought of in our community, and she has volunteered to kind of spearhead this. So I would like to see the board get on board and join us retired teachers and do this. Thank you.
I think it's a great idea for them to volunteer and work with the schools. And it's always good as a teacher to get a little note in your box or a little treat that you weren't expecting. And those are always little pick-me-ups. And then it's another avenue for them to talk to somebody with experience. So I think it'd be great for them to volunteer in that capacity.
certificate will be great as well. I know Mrs. Bowman, she highly recommended. I believe she was a teacher, when my mother was a teacher, she was a principal. So I know that she would be a good role model, a good example for her.
Well, I know as we discussed our board goals earlier, this certainly was one of those overarching goals to, see us implement. So I don't know that we need any action on this tonight, but certainly as we continue the conversations and implement the board goals.
We will certainly be in touch and look to get this off the ground in the fall, or
That'd be
later
great.
this summer.
I would really like to see this, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board member comments? All right, well, thank you to everyone who came. At this time, I would like to have a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion, we'll go into executive session. Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you.